hiring a virtual assistant is one thing, but being actually prepared to onboard one is a complete other. So you're going to see that in this training, we cover a little bit of both. We don't just cover hiring the virtual assistant, we cover how to prepare you to be ready for them. Because when we decided to like work together on this project, she had already been gung ho about creating this business. I had already been providing all my friends in real estate with VAs because I've had VAs forever. I realized that I was doing this job already without even knowing it. I was giving VAs to my friends, and then I was preparing my friends on how to best use this VA, how to be prepared for it. Because when you're not prepared and when you don't make the time to actually be ready for the VA, you'll end up being like, oh, I don't think this is for me, or I just don't know how to manage it. And that's just because you are lacking the management skills, which we try to teach within our trainings. So, a little bit about what we're going to go over is understanding the value of a virtual assistant, where to hire one, the hiring process, interview questions, training your VA, organization, delegation, and systems, what that actually looks like, what does delegation mean, and then how you can do it effectively.
So I want to give a quick shout out to a few people that are on here. Thank you for logging on. We see some people here. I see Alexis. I see Andy. Thank you for the support. I'm going to encourage you, if you are on your phone, to swap over to your laptop because the experience is going to be different during the training. And then if you have a notebook, go ahead and take some notes. I have a notebook in my hand. You can't see it because of my background. But there's a lot of things that we're going to cover at the end of the presentation. Thank you. This is the way that I make calls with my cat ears. I get excited. But at the end of the presentation, we will give you access to a summary of what we just discussed in a Word document, and we'll give you access for you to scan at the end. So stick with us through the end. I promise it's a lot of value that we jam-packed, and we're going to get started on understanding the value of a virtual assistant. So go ahead, Bethany.
Okay, so for one, understanding the value. First things first is identifying your needs and the different tasks that you would delegate. You think to yourself when you're in your day to day and you're doing everything on your own, well, what would I actually pass down? Or maybe you're just so used to doing everything on your own that you can't even gather the thoughts of what you're going to pass down. So, beginning is mindset, reflecting on your workloads and thinking about all the tasks that you do daily that can actually be done at a computer and that actually don't need you to be done. And then once you thought of all these activities that are pulling you away from all of your struggles, I mean, we all know this as realtors. We're best served out there getting the business, not necessarily sitting behind a computer sending emails. That's not how deals are getting done. I wish sometimes it was, but really, when we're out there showing is when we're really making the money. And so, identifying the needs is the first step. And I think that if you are not doing this already, I encourage you as a realtor to start putting these lists together and as these tasks. Maybe you're not at the position where you're necessarily ready for a VA, but if you start organizing yourself now, you can get yourself ready. So then what we do is we try to break those tasks into different categories. So you have administrative work, which is all things that can be done at a computer, email management, calendar management, data entry, CRM updates. Then we have social media, which you guys all know that if you've done or attempted to do social media at an advanced level or even a basic level, it can feel like a part-time job. And when you're out there hustling and you're selling in the streets and you're showing, who has time to really post on social media? That is definitely something that I delegate to VAs, Cindy delegates to VAs, and all the people who are actually producing, they don't have the necessary time to be doing the content themselves. So that's another thing. But it's so much more than social media, because if you think about it, you have email campaigns, you have brochures, you have flyers, you have open house material. It's all about creating templates and having everything organized. And then you're just like plug and play, but really your VA is plug and play. And then you have things like client support, responding to emails, follow up, I'm sure everybody, if you're at a certain level in your business, you've already adapted to our CRM. Imagine having someone that knows that CRM, that's constantly updating it for you. A lot of the times when I'm on events or retreats and I'm getting business cards, I know Cindy does this too. It's we're taking a picture of our business card, we're putting it in our chat with our VA. They already know what to do. They're organizing it, they're categorizing it, and they're tagging it, and then they're setting a reminder for us to follow up as soon as we get back to our computer. I mean, doesn't that life sound amazing? That's truly been probably one of the most beneficial things, because every time I would go to an event and get a business card, the business card would go in my purse, and half the time I would never even save the contact information. But even more so, showings, um, scheduling your calendar, over double booking. Now it's just before I even put something in my calendar, I send it to my VA and I make sure that she knows she's seen the calendar. Do I already have something for that day? Then, and we say that by hiring assistants, whether in person or virtual, the whole point is to increase your productivity. I was reading a book the other day. It's about eliminating the word hurry from our lives. And it's so crazy because technology was made to actually free us up of more time, but somehow, some way it's consumed more time in our lives. And that's because we're really not utilizing technology correctly. But if you have a VA, they're supposed to be taking away most of these tasks for you that keep you, that take up your time, and it's supposed to increase your time for you to do the things that are money making and producing, right? Producing more clients, producing more leads, helping you manage a team, um, follow up with clients. If you have a certain system where you follow up your clients every week, it's so easy to then just put templates together, and your assistant will know to send these follow ups out whenever you schedule them with your assistant. And then, like we talked about, content creation. So, yes, the ruthless and elimination of hurry. I love that she remembered that. That book was so good. But in general, like once you get to that point where you start realizing I only have so many hours in the day and I'm capped because I'm doing everything myself, that's when you need to start thinking about bringing on a team member or an assistant. And most of the time, you can you can choose to bring on a team member and an assistant. And if you bring on the assistant first, the assistant can put all the proper systems together so that you can easily onboard a team member or have your assistant train the team member. And then scalability and flexibility. At this moment, I have about four VAs, and I have my main VA that manages my other three VAs. And that's because we have gotten to the point where we have documented workflows, we have put together training manuals, we have everything that we need. So that way, my assistant knows exactly what to do when we onboard a client and when we onboard a team member. And this way, we're not taking the time to interview and do the basic things that really just they're not income producing, right? So every time when you have systems set in place and you have training manuals set in place, you have to even think about it. This VA might not last forever, but if everything is organized and set in place with training manuals, you're able to scale much easily. It's always hardest when you bring on your first one, but I always challenge people to don't get intimidated by it. Your first VA is always going to take the most from you because that's usually the VA that you're going to be using to build everything out. After that, once you get into a flow, it's going to be really easy to get a new VA and just kind of place them into that spot. It's basically like how big companies bring on employees. You have HR, you have training systems, and there's constantly a rotation of employees. That's how you have to think about your business when you're thinking growing, scaling, building a team, and hiring assistants. And the great part about it is you only have to do it once, record it, create it, build out the platform, and then it's there for you to utilize over and over again. And when you hire the VA can help you add to those trainings and add to those systems and add to those workflows. So it's not you doing everything by yourself.
Let's address the elephant in the room before I go into where to hire a VA. Because let me tell you, when I started in real estate and I was a year in, I had a desire, but I didn't have the means. I could not afford a real estate assistant. I couldn't afford a virtual assistant, an in-person assistant, period. It took me, I worked 3 jobs for 15 months. So I get it when the struggle is real. It's sometimes like, whoa, I got to make money to hire a VA, but hold on, I got to hire a VA to make more money. It's sometimes can counterintuitive. And so you just have to make a shift in your mind and make sure that this person is truly helping you scale. So I just want you, if you already have a virtual assistant, I want you to put a one in the chat. Put a number one in the chat if you already have a virtual assistant. Okay. So some of you, okay, we have some people with a virtual assistant. Okay. How many of you have been wanting to hire an assistant, but either don't have the means to hire the assistant or don't know what to give the assistant? I want you to put a number two in the chat.
Wow, there's a lot of people.
We got a lot of people. Okay. So what I'm going to I'm going to tell you right now, a regular virtual assistant that has been trained, so you have an idea, is about $25 an hour. If you can find a really good assistant or like a company that can provide that, like a really good deal will be about $10 an hour. So just keep that in mind. But I'm going to teach you a couple of things that you can do to do it yourself if you have the time. I'm guessing that if you're in this training is because you don't have the time to do this type of things on your own, but I'm going to give you some tools that perhaps you can give your assistant. But before I do that, I want to tell you that whatever you expect from your assistant, you have to inspect. So there's nothing in the world, there's no person that you can hire that you're going to be completely hands off, because you have to make sure that this assistant is doing the things that you want them to do. I'm talking about a human person that is supporting you, not AI. Someone that wants to support you. She's remote, virtual, however you want to call it. So where do you go and you hire this virtual assistant? LinkedIn is my favorite place of hiring, just because it's people that are already professional or that know that LinkedIn is for professionals. So they've already have some type of understanding of proper etiquette. Okay. They have verified experience. You can go a different route and you can go to Fiverr. And Fiverr is a very well known platform for freelance people where you can find VAs with varying levels of expertise. Can we go back for a second, Bethany?
I'm going. It's just slow.
Okay. And then the third step would be a reputable VA company. This is the route that I went when I first started. And I just budgeted an X amount of money. I started with part-time because I couldn't afford full-time. But I knew that if the assistant needed some training, I could go back to that company and train them because I didn't have time to do so myself. So next, if you were to go into LinkedIn, how would you find these assistants? I'm waiting for the slide to go to the next one so I can show you. Okay. So this is the post that I posted on LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn ourselves to hire the assistants. And I'm going to tell you that I've already invested over $1,000 on the hiring process. This is going to be the hardest part. Finding the talent is half the battle. Okay. So the job, basically, I created, we're seeking for a dedicated and professional virtual assistants to join our team. What are the responsibilities? So these are the things that you're going to give your assistant. Coordinate and schedule property showings. You shouldn't be doing that yourself. I would be livid when I would spend an hour, 2 hours scheduling showings, and then the client said, hey, I'm not coming into town, forget it. And then I'm canceling everything, and I could have put that time for somebody else. So your assistant is going to do that moving forward. And I'm going to teach you a checklist that I have put together for the assistant so that you can also use it. Provide updates on property searches and respond to specific client requirements. Update and manage client databases, ensuring accurate and current information. Assist in managing the paperwork and documentation for property transactions. You could call that a transaction coordinator. Organizing and maintaining client files. We're going to teach you how to create a Google Drive and organize it, just to make sure that all your documents are accessible. Your documents shouldn't live on your computer. If you lose your computer, you're screwed. Your documents should live securely on a drive, right? That where you can access it and you can go back when a tenant says, hey, I'm moving out after a year and this rental that you put me in, they're saying that I broke this table. And then you have proof that that table was not broken from the beginning. Create a CMAs, update social media profiles. Bethany kind of covered on this. You can take a screenshot of what responsibilities you can give your assistant if you still haven't figured out what to give your assistant. Qualifications, very important for me out of anything is that this person is actually nice, because as a person with a lot of pressure during the day, sometimes we are not the nicest people. And my assistant just kind of checks me sometimes when she's like, good morning. I'm like, oh, good morning. That's right. Right. Because like we're always go, go, go. So it's really important. I actually switched my assistants twice before because the assistant had an attitude and I couldn't work for somebody who had an attitude. So we make sure that these assistants are super nice. Next. Also strong spoken written in English and Spanish. Being in Miami, you're going to work with a lot of people that maybe, speak Spanish. Your assistant can support you there. So next, the hiring process. How do you break this down? There's 3 key strategies. Number 1, the first step is to ask for a resume for them to submit it. If they don't have one, they're already cut out, right? I want to see a resume. Number 2, after they send the resume, I send an email back and I say, thank you. Well, I don't do this. My assistant actually does it, right? Basically saying, hey, Bethany, thank you so much for submitting your resume. I would like for you to answer these questions. And this is really important. So I'm going to ask Bethany I'm going to ask her for her age. But in an email, I'm going to tell Bethany, hey, Bethany, where I'm asking you for your age, I want you to write 72. So that ensures that she's actually read the whole email that I wrote down and she's paying attention to detail. If she submits that form and she tells me that she's 35 in that form rather than 72, she's cut. I'm not working with her because she didn't pay attention to detail. And it's really important for me that she is paying attention to detail. So whoever answers the question incorrectly, automatically they're cut out of the process. Then there's a third form, and then there's a 4th stage on the process where I tell, hey, Bethany, I want you to give me, you tell me that you have some experience in real estate. I want you to put together a list of showings. If I were to go to these 4 addresses, how would you organize them? And so they would put together like a mock showing schedule based on the distance and, taking 20 minutes for condos, 30 minutes for homes, et cetera, et cetera. After they go through that, only the people that come to the end, just so you have an idea, out of 300 people that would submit a resume, 15 of them will actually make it to the last stage. So this ensures that your assistant is actually going to be good. And then at the interview, then you're conducting it to further evaluate the candidate's fit for the role, the communication skills, do you like that person, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how it would work. Questions on that as we go to the next slide.
And I just want to say what Cindy is sharing with you is her tailored system. If you have ever worked in Fortune 500 companies or in corporate America, you will run through a series of different types of onboarding and training, personality tests, things like that. And what Cindy has done is she's compiled a few of those and created her own, which she thinks best fits. So this is not something that's like you're just putting together. It's actually systems that have been used in corporate America when it comes to paying attention and evaluating if someone is capable of just listening and following instructions, which honestly is the hardest part when finding assistance. Someone that has time, patience to read through everything and make sure what they're doing is correct. That's why we say the hiring process is a whole separate process before you even get to bringing and onboarding a VA and then training.
It's 50% of the work. So let's go on the next slide. I will tell you, prior to being in real estate, I actually owned a digital marketing agency that I started in 2018. And the hiring process was part of this. Along with my partner, then I paid thousands of dollars to be coached. So this is actually coming from proven systems, like Bethany said. So some of the interview questions, go ahead.
So let's say now you, in our world on how we do it, right? We've collected our top notch batch of people who have already gone through the process, who have already been vetted. Not only did they go through the application process, but then they've gone through a personal interview with our executive assistant where she's actually spoken to them and they've reached the next level where we're ready to onboard them with a client, right? So there's still a few processes that go through that. Now, what we always do is when we set up our initial interview with the client, which is, let's say it's just you and the VA, we prep them on what questions to ask because sometimes they don't think to ask these things. If someone, I should ask if someone who is can mute themselves really quick.
You're gonna pay me,
If there's anybody else that's unmuted, can you just go ahead and mute yourself so I can hear you really loudly? But it's really, really important to gather these questions. And these questions can range from business questions to personal questions to life questions. We have different categories, like, for example, availability. What's your typical working schedule? Are you flexible with your hours? Are you looking for long term? I even advise clients to even go a step further. How long are you really looking to work with someone? Are you only looking for 6 months? Are you looking for a year? Do you want to grow with someone? Do you want to be promoted within a company? Because even though they're your virtual assistant, they have expectations of what they want for their business life as well. And then we talk about expectations like salary, income. What are they looking to make? Are they happy with a flat fee, base pay? We always ask them to find out about previous work experience. What jobs have they had? How have they handled situations within their jobs? And then you want to ask them, do they have reliable Wi-Fi? Do they have issues with their Wi-Fi? Especially when you're hiring outside of the country, which most virtual assistants are. That's the reality of it. You want to ask them if they ever have any economical issues in their country where for a period of times, a couple of days a week, a couple hours a day, are they losing power? Are they losing service? Do they own a laptop? Are they operating out of a desktop? Are they only operating out of a phone? These are all questions that you never think to ask, but they're extremely important. And now we're going to talk about tools and softwares. There is an array of tools and softwares that you are going to use. These are the ones that we find we use often that work best for us. Google Suite, Google Docs. I actually operate my whole entire business out of Google Suite. Like Cindy said in an earlier slide, your whole business needs to be on the cloud. The day of having things saved to a computer or a desktop are gone. If you lose that computer, you lose your whole business. Everything needs to be saved in a cloud. You should be able to log in anywhere at any time from your phone and have every single thing that you need for your business right there in the login. But what that actually helps is your VA to also be there right with you and log in from wherever they are. So we have password managers, Canva, call tools for cold calling, Hubstaff for monitoring, Clockify for time check-ins and checkouts, Zoom, WhatsApp, Slack, Asana. These are just a few that we're familiar with, but there's hundreds out there. We just think these work best. And now we'll get into processes and workflows.
Thank you, Bethany. For the people asking in the chat, will this be emailed? Kevin will post it in the YouTube channel for YPN Miami Realtors. So subscribe on YouTube. And I think sometimes he does email it, but he can let us know.
Yeah, I'll email it.
Okay, perfect. All right. So training your VA. This is the biggest question. Bethany just covered what systems. And now we're going to train you basically to how to manage your VA. My favorite system to use is Trello. You don't have to use what I use, but this is what I found works best for me. But the system that works best is the one that you use. So I don't know if you can make this a little bit bigger, Bethany. Okay, I hope you guys can see it. Okay, I see it. But this is my Trello board. In the Trello board, I don't log in every day, but I created it for my assistant, and the assistants go in because I have to. They have to make sure that they know what got done. So if you look, there's project resources to do, then there's doing, and then there's paused. So it can be anything from, if you look at under the to-do column, the second one from the left, right, it says update weekly report, add new leads, check follow boss, which is a system that I use, check emails, check follow boss and MLS for client activities, react to every done activity in the WhatsApp group. And what that means is that I give them direction on WhatsApp and I say, hey, get this done. Like I was just in my walk, it was a rental walkthrough that I was doing, and I take pictures, and then I grab all of the pictures and I upload them into a Google link, and I share that via email to the client so they have access to the pictures that I just took. While I'm in the walkthrough, I say, hey, I need the link to the Google folder where I'm going to upload the pictures. Where is it? And they go and they send it to me, and they put a check mark on WhatsApp that they already finished the task that I just gave them. So that is a visual for me of what instructions I gave them that they got done. And then this is the visual for them to make sure that they got everything done, because sometimes during the day I'm giving them too much, they can't get to it. Right. And as a Compass agent, Bethany and I, we have like a Compass workplace on Facebook, confirm showings. So as I'm working today with some clients, maybe tomorrow I need to go on showings with a client. I train my client to make sure that they heart their properties on one home on the MLS, or the other favorites that they like the most. And this requires coaching, right? And so my assistant knows that when I had a buyer consultation with my client, I already taught the client that I need them to heart the properties in the MLS. So my assistant goes into the MLS every day to see if she sees new hearts. She creates a Compass collection for me, and she starts scheduling showings in my calendar, because in my calendar for tomorrow, I already went in and I put together a block of time. Say I'm going to be going on showings with Kevin. Kevin is my client from 10 to 2. So then I put 10 to 2 showings with Kevin. And so my assistant knows when she's calling that she's going to put, that is the time that I have designated for showings with Kevin. And so that removes me from the operation, and they know exactly what to do. But it's hard to train your assistant when you don't know what you need to be trained on. So Trello is a great opportunity for you to put things in there and for your assistant to manage and color code. Next slide. Feel free to put questions in the chat if you do have them, because we see them and I can answer them for you. I wanted to show you a little bit one of the checklists that I have in Trello. You can create this checklist on how your process goes. This is a checklist for scheduling showings that I use to train my assistants. And this is exactly what we train the assistants that we hire on. They come completely trained by us on the processes, because I'm a little bit like obsessive with organization. So I just pass it on to the assistants. So look at this checklist for scheduling showings, expand for steps. So description, use this checklist every time we're scheduling showings for any clients. As a rule of thumb, it's preferred not to have more than 5 showings in one day. I teach the client when I'm talking to them in the buyer consultation that I don't do more than 5 showings in one day, because they get showing fatigue. They don't remember the properties, etc. And also, I don't have more than that 5 showings. I already know that it's going to take me about 2 hours. And if I have multiple clients in one day, I can have multiple clients in one day, because I know I'm not going to do 20 showings in one day. For condos, allow 20 to 25 minutes per visit when it's in different buildings. That gives me time to show amenities. If condos are in the same building, 50 minutes will be enough. If the showings are in the same town, 50 minutes in between is enough. You can always check times. For homes, allow 25 to 30 minutes per showing. So I already know how I work. I need to communicate this with my assistant, because my assistant is not with me every living day, and she doesn't know. And I keep saying she because both my assistants are female. We also have male assistants. But if I don't know what my standard is, there's no way that they're going to figure out on their own. So if I go now, this is just a description, and I go into scheduling showings, then I'm teaching them how to do it. Schedule showing times by keeping in mind the distance and traffic during the time they will happen. Schedule north to south, east to west, all depending on where it is. It has to make sense directionally. I will schedule showings furthest away from my house. So then to me, I like it north to south, because when I'm done with south, I go home. It's up to you. The client doesn't know. You have to make your life easier, because you're the realtor running around. At the end of showings, I'd rather be closer to home. In South Beach, I moved out of there, so they already know not to do that. So I often start the furthest out from me. I just said that. So you must create systems that work for you, so your assistant knows how you operate. Sometimes I have clients that take longer. They like talking in the showings, and one showing will take 45 minutes. I let her know, when you schedule this client, it's going to be 45 minutes for showing and a total of 3 or 4 showings per day. So as you're coaching your client, you're coaching your assistant. Next. Please do write questions in the chat. I'm going to go through this quickly so that we have a lot more to cover, and I want to make sure that you have all the information. But here you are. Here's a rental checklist. Again, clearly outlining the process for the task that I want them to handle. How do I handle a rental? I no longer handle a rental myself. I'm there to talk to the client most times, but my assistant is taking care of the whole process of the rental. And it's like if they were a realtor themselves because they know how to do this. Number one, submit the offer. You need the contract to lease and you need the MLS active PDF saved. I need a bio of the client. I need the tenant application. I need their credit score. I need their IDs. I need proof of income. I need bank statements, all in a Google link. So I feel like I'm also training you right now on how to properly do this. But I don't attach documents now to an email anymore. I create a Google link and I instruct the client to upload everything, all the documents I'm requesting for them in that link. Once it's uploaded, my assistant looks at the link and makes sure that each document is properly named, not 123 FJK. The document cannot have random names. The assistant goes in and changes it. Bethany Martinez ID, bank statement December 2022. Then after so create folder, etc., follow up with the listing agent. They do that. Once the offer is accepted, you add the fully executed document into the Google Drive. You send instructions to the title company. They send it to the client. The client needs to send the money to the title company. We get approved from them. The assistant is doing all of this. I'm not connected to this. I'm just taking a look at what's happening. Feel free to take a screenshot of this and you can kind of use it yourself. I don't mind. But mind you, all of this is happening in a WhatsApp chat. We'll get to that, where if Bethany is the buyer or the tenant, Bethany is in a WhatsApp chat with myself and my assistant because I see all of the communication that the assistant is doing. And I coach my client and I let them know, I'm going to help you. I'm going to move you to a WhatsApp chat because I have my executive assistant here that supports me because I want to give you the best experience and the best service. And I'm not always available, so my assistant will support me. So there's coaching on the assistant side, there's coaching on the client side, and I'm freed up to do the things that actually generate me money. Next. Is this providing value? I want you to put a number 3 in the chat if you're seeing value so far.
I almost think people will be overwhelmed because if you've never done this before, or you're looking at all this like mind blown, right? And just to touch on the last slide that Cindy read, Cindy took you through her processes, right? What works for her, which is great, but not every process works the same for everybody. And if you don't have processes, think about how you're really going to train your VA. Like, what are you going to be showing them to go through? And that's why I'm creating these processes way before you even hire a VA just to organize your own business is so important. So now you've hired your VA, you've taken them through basic training, and you want to set the standard and expectations on how you handle things. Cindy has a very thorough way on what she expects from her VAs. I have a way of what I expect from my VAs. Obviously, we train our VAs the same. I don't like hours going by without my VA reaching out to me. I've already trained her to say, if I haven't responded to you, you need to check in with me. Hey, is there anything that's going on? If there are tasks that are on the pending list that have not been executed, you need to remind me every morning, hey, before we start the day, this is what's pending. Now we have things like deadlines. All of these deadlines should be communicated. You can't expect anyone on planet Earth to know what your deadlines are without you communicating them. And that's why it's so important that you also sit with your VA, meet with them, discuss certain things with them, check in with them, and see where they are within the processes. We do follow ups every Friday with our clients if they need us. If not, we do them once a month. We are in a group chat not only with our clients, but then we're in a separate group chat with the VA. So our assistant, who's the executive assistant of passive tasks, is the one that's constantly checking in and relaying things to us as we go. Now we give an hour for break, an hour for a lunch break. So that's like what you should also be doing, delegating a time. I like to make sure that it's either a set time every day, or if the time changes, that they let us know an hour before that they're going to be taking their break. Is there anything that needs to be immediately done that's a priority task before they go on their break? At the end of every shift, we ask them to submit daily reports. We actually have these reports via Google form. So every day they go in, they upload their task for the day, what was completed, what was pending. That's uploaded onto either a Google form or a Google sheet. And that is usually for us, right? But that's also how we show the productivity and tasks that are being done daily to our clients. And then there's time tracking. They check in every morning. They check out at the end of every shift. They check out when they take their lunch break. They check back in, and then they're checking in and out per task. Like, started this task is done, finished this task, pending. So there's constant communication and check in. You shouldn't be going hours without talking to your VA or getting a notification or getting an update. I sometimes come across people that were like, I don't know what my VA is doing. Well, you know what? That's partially your fault. So I'd like to say that a big part of onboarding and training a VA, if you're the client or the person or the boss or the realtor that's had this experience and you're like, I don't know what to do. This is really hard for me to manage. I don't know what to give them. I'm lost. You have to really self-reflect and think about where you are in your business. Because if you're not in the position to delegate or lead, then maybe that's just not for you. When people tell me it's not for you, it's a choice. Getting organized is a choice. Being on top of your business is a choice. And really, as realtors, we're on top of people's biggest financial decisions of their life. How are we not organized with tasks? How hard is it to delegate admin tasks to someone? You're just not making the time. And that's really all that it is. Because if you did spend just a little bit of time on that, just like you would spend on any other part of your business, you would see how much your business would thrive because of the organization of systems. It's really when you get into the position of training and leading that you realize how much further you can go in life. And I say it's a mindset. So really that's why I talk about us training our clients is even more important than training the VA, because the VA is just going to do what you tell them to. But to be in a position to lead and to delegate is even more important, especially when you're a business owner. And I think all of us on here are either entrepreneurs, business owners, realtors. So organization, delegation, and systems. For one, because I live in my Google Drive, Cindy lives in her Google Drive, and we also have work platforms that are just like our Google Drive. Everything is labeled, everything is organized down to my personal life, down to my taxes, down to my trips, down to my itineraries. I mean, if I need everything, it can be found in the Google Drive. And I always make this joke, like if I were to ever disappear or pass or move on in life, you would be able to know everything about me if you entered into my Google Drive. And who would have access to that? My assistant. So she would be the next in line to be able to. And I mean, how beautiful it is that if a friend of mine was close to me and something happened to me and I couldn't show up to work, God forbid, a real emergency, it really wouldn't be hard for someone to step into my business, check out where I'm at, and just take over for me. It's literally just, where's Bethany at? Everything is documented. You'll see all the current deals I have going on. You'll see all the pending deals. You'll see all the clients I'm in communication with in a CRM. You literally can see my whole entire business from a computer screen, which is such a beautiful thing that my business can thrive even if I was no longer able to run it myself. So this is a little glimpse of just what a Google Drive, an organized Google Drive per our standards looks like. And you'll see active deals checklist. Let's say everything under Compass. The top part is Cindy's Google part of Cindy's Google Drive, and the bottom part is mine. And that's how I organize my client deals. Every client that I've ever had, past, present, future, closed, pending, active, is in a folder. And this is how I label them because this is just how it's worked well for me. You can label them any way that you like, but just make sure that it's really easy that if someone needed to look for a deal in 2019 that was a listing, they would be able to access it, open it up, and find all the information there. And to even take it a step forward, which I don't have a picture, once you open up these folders and you go to the actual client folder, we have everything: contracts, executed contracts. We have the video. If it was a listing, we have every photo, every video that was taken, every piece of marketing material that was ever created for this property. All of that lives in the Google Drive. And now you say what to delegate. Well, just for an example, if you didn't already have your mind moving on the things that you can pass down, for one, anything that you see here on this list, these are all platforms that we use daily. These are the basic ones, to be honest: Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Realtor.com, Google Forms, Homes.com, the Showing app, Canva, Follow Up Boss, or any other CRM or company platforms. If anybody is with companies like we are, it is a whole nother world to have your company platforms to have to work in and out of, which would take most of your time. And then on top of that, everything else that you use when it comes to the Miami Association of Realtors. The beautiful thing about what happened after COVID is we have migrated to record everything and put all of our trainings on webinars and put everything on YouTube. I can't tell you how valuable the Miami Association of Realtors YouTube channel is. Every contract class, every webinar, all of this stuff, this information is literally on YouTube. My VAs, they can, there's no excuse for them not knowing something or not learning something, because they have literally sat through the majority of the contract training classes. They have sat through how to search through the MLS. So really, when you think about it, when you're organizing your VA schedule, you should have maybe an hour or two a day or a week or a day out of the week where they're just educating themselves and they're going through all the free material that we have out there. There's no reason why your virtual assistant should not know how to read a contract or schedule showings or use the MLS or the dashboard, because everything, there's a training for everything out there. And if there isn't, we've created it and we have it in our library.
I want to address some of the questions in the chat. That was really good. Thank you, Bethany, for that. Number one, Pamela, the recording will be available. Repeat it one more time. Kevin will share it whenever he has some time, so give him some time. Don't ask for it 5 minutes after we end, because it's not going to even be downloaded. Number two, with giving so much access to them, do I worry about identity theft or fraud? Rental applications have social security numbers, birthdays, etc. The rental applications that I don't do paper applications. I use the MLS, so it's secure. That's number one. Number two, birthdays. I 1000% want to have access to birthdays. My assistants know every time we get IDs, they need to write down the birthday of the client, put it in my calendar so that I can say happy birthday to the client every single time. It separates me from the rest. Also, I operate in a different way. Like, I trust I am protected by God. Like, that's the way that I feel. And it's just kind of like a feeling, to be honest, that if I don't feel good with the assistant and I feel like they're going to be like bad, then I don't. But also, very important that when you have a new assistant, you get a feel for that assistant first. I didn't give access to my assistant the first week that I hired her. I gave her access. I had her doing certain things the first 3 months. After the first 3 months that I felt, okay, she's for real, I gave her more tasks. After 6 months, I gave her access to my expenses. And now she's about to be with me for a year. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time to have trust. And let me tell you, when your first assistant may not be the assistant that's going to stay with you long term, please understand you're dealing with people. I can hire Carla today, and Carla had an issue with her family. She's a human being. Things happen. She has to leave me. Then I'm back at square one, training another assistant. That's why it's important that you have your systems already. When it comes to the Google Drive, you can change your Google Drive password. If I have a Google Drive, I give access to everybody with the link. You can change it. Everybody with the link can access, or as an editor. After people upload links, I change that to only the people involved in the transaction. And after the transaction is done, I remove access to everybody. My assistant already does that. I don't have to do it. Bethany does it in a different way.
I want to just say one thing is that we're all responsible for our own business, right? So, yeah, we're giving you on how to bring on a team member, a VA. We're not responsible for the security of your business. That's for one. You need to look into security measures and to like precautions for your own business, as any agent and any business owner would. That's why there's multiple password protection programs like LastPass and certain things like that. And we always recommend them to our clients, because not everybody is so trusting. And if you're new into this business, you definitely might be a little bit like concerned about that. But we tell you there's password protection programs that you can give them one password and then it'll give them access to everything. And you can change that every time there's a new team member. But it is your job and your own responsibility to protect your business however you would. But the reality is, an assistant that walks in through the front door can steal your identity if they have access to something. Anybody can hack anything if they really, really want to. You have to protect your wire transfers with your attorneys and do the best you can to protect your business But at the end of the day, if someone wants to attack you, steal from you, they're going to do it and they can break through pretty much all of the security measures out there. But like Cindy said, we never take rental applications. We send them out links and they do everything through the apps and the association. We obviously have IDs, but you would need that. Everybody would need that. So just to make it clear, like we don't want to be responsible for how you protect your business, but everybody has to take their own protective measures.
And this I learned in a training actually with YPN. You guys, if you're attaching IDs and things to an email, that stays in the email forever. It's easier to hack through there than if you were actually uploading all these documents into a Google Drive that you can later delete, that you can later lock.
Or you can lock it.
Put a code on that and then say, hey, I sent you, an email. Here's the lock. Here's the code for that drive that you're going to access. So it's up to you the way that you run your business. In the next two slides before we finish here, and thank you for staying on. I hope that this has brought a lot of value. I'm going to teach you how to delegate to your assistant. At Pass the Task, Bethany and I hire the assistant and we train the assistant for you. You do the rest, right? So here are some tools. I personally, and so does Bethany, use WhatsApp. I no longer use text messages for business. Text messages are for personal things, talking to my family, talking to my friends, or starting with a new client. Usually I start with a client and follow a boss or text, then I move them to WhatsApp. So there are these things called communities in WhatsApp. You can only create a community if you have a personal WhatsApp. There's business WhatsApp and personal. I have a business WhatsApp because it's what I prefer, but my assistant has a personal WhatsApp and she creates the communities for me. If you can do it, your assistant can. You can't do it alone. No one plans to fail. You're just failing to plan. So this is an example of my community of real estate, Miami Real Estate Cindy Perez. And inside of that, I have all of the chats that I have with my assistants. Ari chat, admin work. It's all the admin that I give her during the day. This is like the dumping my ideas chat. Real estate content and admin chat with my other assistant. So I put it's self-explanatory. Then leads report. When I have a new lead, I put it in there so I can always go back and be like, oh, this lead that I got a week ago, I haven't followed up, and I can look in there. She grabs this lead and she puts it into the CRM so I can follow up in the CRM. RE training and resources. If there's something new that I want to teach her that I haven't done it, I'm going to record a video on Loom. We're going to get to that. And I drop the Loom video in here and both my assistants are there for them to watch the Loom video. If they have questions on that and they forgot, they don't have to call me again. Hey, Cindy, how do I do this? They go back to that video and that chat and they can find it there very easily. Real estate receipts and travel and expenses at the end of the year when you're running around of like, what were my expenses? I didn't put it together. My assistant knows to grab all of my receipts that are business related and she keeps track in an Excel sheet of all those expenses at the end of the year so that I can use it for my taxes. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? I mean, hello. And then pre-construction Dropbox. I sell a lot of pre-construction. All of these people that work in the different projects send me the Dropbox. I put it in there. So whenever I have to put together emails or I need to send information about that specific project, my assistant knows where to find the Dropbox links and it's in there. You can have so many different chats and keep it together in one community so they know exactly where to go. Under each WhatsApp chat that I have with my assistant, inside of the chat description, I have resources. For example, my buyer's presentation that I do with my buyers, there's the link there. So if I never need to edit it, I never need to find it where it is, it's already there. All of my listings are there. The reports for one of my assistants, her name is Geraldine, so that I can see what she did for the day. It's there because she's new. She's only been with me 3 months. So I'm still checking. I'm inspecting what I'm expecting from my assistant. She needs more time from me. So I spend a lot of time answering my assistant. Some people will get an assistant. The assistant asks, hey, what's the password to this? Or how do I do this? You didn't reply until 3 hours later. The assistant couldn't do anything. That's the end of it. When you get an assistant, you have to make time to train this assistant and reply to the assistant right away so that they can be effective and efficient. And then I keep track of my payroll when I'm paying my assistant. So this is just a great opportunity for you to use WhatsApp for business, what it's meant to be used to organize yourself. Next slide. Any questions on this? Write them in the chat, please. Okay, and then this is my library of Loom. This is something that I learned when I had my digital marketing agency. I don't use Zoom because Zoom, you have to record what you're doing and then you have to download it, then you have to add it to the Google Drive. And then I'm already paying $30 a month for the Google Drive for all the information that I have there. Loom.com, Loom.com is a platform that you can use to record yourself. So the trainings stay here forever until I delete them. So this is how I teach my assistants how to add favorite properties in the MLS to Compass, how to schedule showings for real estate, how to do an MLS example, how to create, like, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how many times did I talk about the MLS here? A millions of time, because once I sent one recording, she didn't get it right. Then I had to send another. This is what you did wrong. This is how you should be doing it. How to edit or delete a search in the MLS, how to add a link to Compass Business Tracker, how to manage a collection. Every single thing that I want to teach my assistant goes on a Loom. I do not tell my assistant, hop on a video with me so I can teach you, because you're wasting your time. The assistant is going to forget. She is a human being. If she wrote it in a piece of paper, the dog is going to eat it. It doesn't matter. So make sure that everything lives online. If for some reason that assistant leaves you, guess what? A new assistant can log into your Loom library and learn everything that you already taught. This is how you ensure that you always have someone that's going to be trained and you're already using your time efficiently.
Next one.
Yeah. We've actually got, it's 1:57. This is great. Exactly got to the hour of training. I just want to thank you for getting on this presentation. Of course, we're providing all of this information for free. We don't expect anything. We want to impact our colleagues. We want to impact the Miami Realtors Board. We're both part of YPN and NAREP. What we would ask is that you follow us on Instagram. We want to grow with followers. If you haven't followed us, it's Pass the Task RE. You can find Bethany's personal Instagram and mine. You can follow us there. You can put some stories, what value. You can record yourself. I got value. This is one thing that I learned from Pass the Task, and tag us. This is going to be great for us to have some testimonials. And let's go to the next slide. I do want to give you a summary and a handout of what we just covered today, even though you're going to get the information. I know it's a lot to have in your mind and it can be overwhelming. So I put together a comprehensive guide of what we discovered. You can scan it here, enter your information. When you submit it, it's going to go ahead and download the sheet. If you're needing more support, if you don't want to do it yourself, we can do it for you. You can reach out to us directly. Once you download the comprehensive guide and you enter your information, we can reach out to you directly. We're here to support you. We're real estate agents, but we're not going to steal anything if you decide to work with us. We just want to impact our community. So Bethany?
And if there's any questions you have, just ask us personally, reach out to us. We're here. We're an open book. The reality is when people train and they withhold information, we're acting as if like someone has something to steal from us. But when you live with the mindset of abundance, that there's enough for us all to win, you can easily, freely share, give back, give your knowledge, and just understand that like the more you give is the more you grow. And that's how we operate in our businesses. So we're an open book in that sense. But, I'm so appreciative of Cindy and us doing this together, because even though I had systems built out, this has helped me grow to another level in my own business when it comes to organization. And that's what it's all about. We all have so much to learn and give back to our community. So thank you for joining us on YPN. And if this training was helpful and great for you, give us a thumbs up and give us a follow and just give us any encouragement on anything else you'd want us to share and teach you.
Tremendo value. I love the chat. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kevin, for hosting. We'll see you next time.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm going to be on my laptop.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I have a full purse.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm eating before I leave.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm sneaking out for shopping.
We're YPN leaders.
Of course we're going to be creating content.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm signing up for classes.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm Cafecito obsessed.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm going to crash the next happy hour.
Give up on my way home, yeah. Hey, wouldn't it be crazy? amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, would you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, would you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Oh, would you still amaze me?